To the woman who thinks I'm bluffing, watch this. You think I'm playing, don't you? That I'm saying all this just to sound serious, like I'm trying to win you back or prove a point I'm not even ready to live by. You think this is one of those things people say when they're scared of losing someone, but they're not ready to change, not ready to grow, not ready to be real. But I'm here to tell you, I'm not bluffing. This time I mean everything I say. Not to impress you, not to trap you in another promise, but to finally show you what I should have made clear from the start. You were never just someone passing through, and I get it. You've heard words before, too many. Words followed by silence. Promises followed by patterns. Affection followed by distance. You're tired of people saying they've changed, only to return to the same old version that broke you the first time. You don't want speeches. You want actions. You want proof. That's why I'm recording this. Not to manipulate you, not to guilt you, but to say clearly, openly, that I see what I didn't before. I see how patient you were, how you stayed when you didn't feel seen, how you gave without asking for much, how you loved me through confusion, frustration, and half answers. And you think I'm bluffing now because I never showed you what you truly deserved before. You expected me to disappear again. It doesn't keep blooming when it's not watered. And you were starving for affection, starving for attention, starving for something real. And all I gave you were pieces. And then I wondered why you pulled away, why your smile faded, why your eyes looked tired when they looked at me. I told myself you were being distant, but really I was watching someone slowly back away from a place that no longer felt safe. And that's on me. Because here's what I've learned. When a woman gives her all, when she lowers her walls, when she lets you into the softest, most unprotected parts of herself, and you don't handle that with care, she doesn't leave in anger, she leaves in silence. And once that silence comes, it's not just quiet, it's cold, final, heavy. So no, I'm not just trying to melt that silence with words. I'm not hoping this message will magically fix everything, but I am hoping it tells the truth. If you're waiting for the usual ending, let me stop you right here, because there's no bluff in my voice. There's no trick in my words. There's just truth. And if you give me the chance, not to fix the past, but to build something new, you'll see I'm not bluffing. I know you probably sat there watching the first part, arms crossed, heart guarded, telling yourself, I've heard all this before. And I don't blame you. Because the truth is, you gave me chances I didn't earn. You gave me your time when I gave you confusion. You gave me your heart, and I held it with hands that weren't steady enough to keep it safe. You don't trust me anymore. Not because you're bitter, but because you're tired. Tired of loving like a woman who shows up with her whole soul, only to get half effort in return. You started pulling back, not because you stopped caring, but because you stopped believing I would change. You saw the pattern, how I showed up when I felt like it, how I spoke just enough truth to keep you holding on, but not enough to actually make you feel safe. So let's be honest. You have every reason to think I'm bluffing, but you don't know what happened the moment I felt your absence. Not just your voice, not just your smile, but your energy. I could feel it the day you stopped trying, the day you looked at me, not with anger, but with acceptance. That look hurt more than anything you could have shouted, because it said, I still love you, but I'm done. That moment broke me, not because I lost you, but because I finally realized I never really showed up for you, not the way you needed, not the way you deserved. And I sat in that silence for days, thinking, crying, talking to myself more than I ever talked to you when it actually mattered. I kept replaying every time you said, I just need you to meet me halfway. I didn't understand what that meant back then, but now I do. You weren't asking for a perfect man. You weren't asking for flowers every day or poetry or grand speeches. You were asking for effort, for presence, for someone to say, I choose you, and then show it every day, even when it's hard. So no, I'm not bluffing when I say I've changed. But I also know words won't move you anymore. You need to see it, feel it, believe it. Not because I said it, but because I live it. And that's exactly what I plan to do. No more excuses, no more disappearing acts. No more waiting until you're walking out the door to finally act right. If I have to rebuild trust brick by brick, I will. If I have to prove myself every day until your guard finally drops, I will. Not because you asked for that, but because you deserve that. I've been selfish before. I admit it. I wanted your love without giving you security. I wanted your loyalty without offering consistency. I wanted your full heart while still protecting mine. But that man, he's not the one recording this message. Because now I know real love doesn't bluff. It shows up consistently, clearly, unapologetically, and I'm ready to do that. So if you're still thinking I'm bluffing, if you still feel unsure about everything I'm saying here, I get it. But keep watching. Because this time, I'm not trying to win you back with words. I'm trying to rebuild a future with actions. I know this won't be easy. I know I can't just flip a switch and expect everything to feel right again. Trust doesn't come back overnight, especially when it's been stretched, shaken, and tested the way ours has. But let me say this clearly. I don't expect you to just fall back into my arms. I don't expect you to forget the nights you cried yourself to sleep, or the mornings you woke up wondering if I even cared at all. I remember those days too, the ones I barely showed up in, the ones where I was there physically, but emotionally distant. You kept reaching for me, and I kept turning the other way, not realizing how many pieces of you I was making you give away just to keep us going. And even then you stayed. You didn't stay because it was easy. You stayed because you believed in me. Even when I didn't give you many reasons to. Even when I made you feel like love had to be earned instead of received. So no, I'm not just saying I've changed because it sounds good. I'm saying it because I had to. You walking away? That wasn't just a breakup. That was a wake-up call. It forced me to sit with myself, face the version of me I'd been protecting, and ask the hardest question I've ever asked. Why do I only act right when I'm scared of losing someone? And the answer hurt, because it made me realize I had been loving selfishly. I wanted your love, but I didn't respect the weight of your heart. I wanted your presence, but I wasn't present for your pain. I wanted you to believe in us, while I was still running from my own responsibility. But now I know what I need to do. Not just to win you back, but to make sure that if you ever trust me again, you never have to question it. No more disappearing. No more halfway efforts. No more saying, I'm fine, when I know something's wrong. No more making you guess what you mean to me. Because if you give me that second chance, even just a small one, I'll treat it like gold. And I don't just mean gifts and sweet words. I mean the boring stuff too. The showing up on the bad days. The communicating even when it's uncomfortable. The checking in even when I'm tired. The listening without trying to fix. The respecting you. Every part, every mood, every moment. Because that's what love actually looks like. And it took losing you to finally understand it. So, if you're still watching this, If there's even a small piece of you that's still wondering if I mean what I say this time, I get it. You're protecting your peace. You're guarding what's left of your heart. But let me say this again. I'm not bluffing. I'm ready to move different, to love better, to make you feel secure again, not by force, but by being the man you should have always had. I don't expect applause for what I'm saying, and I don't expect forgiveness to arrive just because my words sound nice. In fact, I know these words might sound like every other time I promised, every other time I said, I'll do better, only to fall back into silence and selfish patterns. But that's why I'm not asking you to believe this overnight. This isn't about getting back what I lost. This is about becoming the version of me that should have shown up the first time. And the truth is, I took your love for granted. I treated it like it would always be there, like no matter how distant I got, how late I was to show up emotionally, how much I forgot to pour into you, you'd still be waiting. But I was wrong. Love doesn't stay when it's starved. And the truth is, I never stopped loving you. But now I finally understand what love requires. It requires showing up even when you don't know what to say. It requires putting your pride in your pocket when the relationship needs your presence more than your ego. It requires asking, how are you really? And listening. It requires apology without defense, accountability without delay, affection without being asked. And if I ever get the chance again to hear your voice, to sit across from you, to just hold your hand and not be afraid to hold your heart too, I will do it all differently because I finally understand something I didn't before. You weren't asking me to be perfect. You were just asking me to be real, to show up with honesty, with consistency, with care. Not just when things were easy, but especially when they weren't. So if you still think I'm bluffing, if you think this is just another attempt to pull you back in, only to repeat what broke us the first time, let me make it clear, I'm not here to repeat. I'm here to rebuild. And if you don't want to open that door again, if your peace is finally louder than your hope, then I'll respect that. But if there's even a small part of you still waiting to see if this version of me is real, keep watching, because my actions are about to speak louder than anything I've ever said.